So your relationship started out in a way that felt collaborative. So let's just start there. Let's say your partner got a promotion or they had to move. And with the move, they'd get more money, right? So they'd be making enough money for the both of you or your family. And so they'd say to you, you don't need to work anymore. Let's just get the new home set up. Or maybe you got laid off from a job and they think, okay, you know what? You just focus on the household. Or maybe you have children and they say, you know what? Let's save childcare costs. You stay home with the children. Now, perhaps there's been a sprinkling of red flags in your relationship, but you're a couple or you're a family and you're working together for the common good of your future together, right? Well, drop a comment if you already know how this scenario is probably going to play out. So, right, you're in this for the common good, right? Think again. So as you know, I've been having this ongoing series about narcissism and money, which is probably one of the most fraught spaces in all narcissistic relationships, whether they're intimate relationships, family relationships, and let's break this dynamic down. And please, I always ask, please don't forget to give this video, if you liked it, a thumbs up. If you didn't, you don't have to. But if you find it helpful, and please also subscribe to this channel and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the videos that come out every day. You never know when one of these videos is just going to hit the mark on exactly what you're going through. So let's take on this again, one more topic in this fraught issue of narcissism and money. So what do you do if you find yourself financially dependent on the narcissist? Well, the short answer is that you're screwed. Let's break down how this happens. Now, it doesn't happen in 100% of cases, but I'm going about 90% because you're screwed, and this can happen for a variety of reasons. And let's list that variety of reasons. Some of these include you're in a narcissistic relationship and you have children, and you opt out of the workplace to care for the children. You get laid off from a job while you're in the narcissistic relationship. The narcissistic partner or the person encourage you to stop working and focus on the home or the family or to support them in whatever it is they're pursuing. You get sick or injured and you're not able to work. You decide to step out of the workplace to pursue a goal like going back to school or finishing school or starting your own business or finishing a project. Other caregiving responsibilities come up for you, like family members who get sick, and you have to step out of your paid work role. And you taking these responsibilities on make life perhaps easier for the narcissistic person in your life. Now listen, all of these things, it's the stuff that happens. It's the stuff of life. And initially, the narcissistic person will future fake you. And they will tell you, I've got your back financially. And you believe them because after all, you're in a relationship with them. It's kind of a financial dependency love bomb. And then, over time, you slowly start to realize you're in a bit of a bad position. Slowly, the narcissistic person may very well start to become contemptuous of you not contributing, despite you likely stepping up on a whole wide variety of other unpaid roles, the entire household, other responsibilities, making their life easier, in many cases turning into a one-stop shop. You're their personal assistant, you're their butler, you're their cook, you're their life coach. You make all the trains run on time. They may triangulate and tell you about the people they work with who are able to do it all, implying that you're not. For example, they may start talking about a person they work with who has children and still works. And yet you believed that that decision for you to stay home with the children and run the household was a collaborative decision, and yet now they're shaming you for it. And then they may really start using money in a punitive manner. You may feel like you have to grovel or find exactly the right moment to get funds or money to get an appliance fixed in the house or a car repair or an outfit for a family event. Or you have to steel yourself for any request to be met with really horrible and dismissive comments like, ugh, gosh, someone's a gold digger, or be painted as an undisciplined, selfish spender. They may withhold money to punish you or may leave you feeling that you have to make biblical decisions, like choosing between something that a child needs and something that is needed for the house. Now, does any of this sound familiar in terms of the financial kinds of structure of your narcissistic relationship? If you feel comfortable, share some of the top notes of your story in the comments below, because again, I think when other people realize they're not alone in this, it helps all of you. It helps all of us. Now, narcissistic people love power and control and dominance and authority within a relationship, and money is a great way to get it. They are often sort of very puppeteering around money. One story I have repeatedly heard from people in long-term narcissistic relationships is a narcissistic partner encouraging the other partner to stop working, usually to make the narcissistic person's life a lot easier, right? They encourage them to stop working, maybe to raise children or take care of a household. Because again, it's all about the convenience for the narcissistic person. But then, perhaps after the children are grown, maybe into adolescence or grown and out of the house, and child's care is no longer needed, or the narcissistic person just wants more money in the household, they will then start criticizing that partner who spent the last 10, 20 years raising kids for not bringing in money. And for some folks, 10 to 15 years out of the workforce can make a return rather difficult. Now, ironically, if you're depending on a narcissistic person for money, it can also activate, oddly enough, a sense of low-grade paranoia in the narcissistic person. Initially, they were the ones who wanted you to stop working and may have encouraged it. That's sort of setting up a power grab. But then they feel like you're taking advantage of them. You can't win. Remember that mantra of all of these relationships. It's a catch-22. They love the power that the money gives them over a partner, but then they feel taken advantage of. Always, you cannot win. The money will also be a sort of self-righteous tool of punishment as well. Things like, oh, really? You want to go on vacation? Must be nice that you expect me to work all the time and then expect me to take a break. Where do you think all the money comes from? And honestly, your motivation may simply have been from a loving place. Nothing more than wanting to spend time with your partner or having a family spend time together or give them a break from how hard they're working. And instead, that kind gesture will get painted into you being all about a lazy and selfish waste of time and you not appreciating all that they do. Now, at the most extreme, being dependent on a narcissistic person for money is what is observed in relationships characterized by coercive control. This involves using money as a way to isolate a person, rob them of basic freedoms, and make them fully reliant on the partner who can then control their movements and their access to the world, and who then in turn will control them even further through menace and fear. Without money to be able to get help, people in these coercively controlling relationships are really effectively completely stuck. Now, while many of these dynamics I'm talking about overall, about financial dependency, are most pronounced in a romantic relationship setting, they're also quite often observed in families who may encourage adult children to rely on the family and remain financially dependent and effectively stunted well into adulthood by remaining so financially dependent on parents. And it gives the parent a source of narcissistic supply in perpetuity. It can also happen when people are lured into family businesses or also into startup work situations where it's all sold as all hands on deck and we can't pay you what you deserve, but we'll give you a free place to live or some other perks. But then you find yourself beholden to this structure for the money you need for other things you need to do in life. You may have a free place to live, but you can't afford a haircut. And then you're painted as ungrateful for asking to be compensated at a fair level for your work. Once again, you can't win. To be financially dependent on a narcissistic person is very dangerous. Initially, it may seem like you are entering into a collaborative journey in these relationships. You justify it enough, you start to believe it. And obviously, in healthy relationships, This happens all the time, with everyone contributing to the family in their own way and everyone benefiting. But the bottom line is, frankly, that all narcissistic relationships are transactional. And once they get tired of your supply, then they will shame you or any person who has become financially dependent on them. Being financially dependent on a narcissistic person is a situation that will always end badly. And interestingly, financial autonomy, having your own source of money, is often what saves people who are stuck in narcissistic relationships. Because when they do decide to sort of call it quits, they actually have more options. And in many ways, the narcissistic folks and their chronic fear of abandonment means like they kind of like being able to trap someone financially so they cannot leave them, and then they manipulate them through shame. That's why it's so important in a narcissistic relationship. You always have your own money. It really is probably one of the only pathways forward to fully survive, get out, and set boundaries in these relationships without a lot of pain. No matter if you make significantly less than the narcissist, try always to keep some income of your own. They may devalue your work, mock you for wasting your time on a lower wage job, and they may try to encourage you to stop wasting your time. Count on me. It's really dangerous, though tempting bait to take, but it may keep you on a psychologically dangerous hook for a very long time. If you are already dependent on them and it is a marital situation, community property, these laws they vary from state to state and country to country. It means working with an attorney and really determining how much you will receive. The most challenging part of this process is not the stuff that gets split at the end of the divorce, a house, whatever, savings accounts, but relying on the longer term payments like spousal support and child support. Those can get to be a real issue, since of all the things narcissistic people hate doing after a divorce, it's paying spousal support. And they may even quit or lose a job to avoid paying you, because spousal support is in part a function of their current sources of income. Now, obviously, these are issues that must be worked out with an attorney, and you need that expertise. And you must consult an attorney if you are caught in a narcissistic divorce that involves any division of assets. This is not an easy thing to do, even simply through mediation. In addition, half of very little is even less than little. So if there isn't much to split to begin with, and you are financially dependent, that can leave you potentially having to depend on other systems, such as family members, to help you out or give you a place to live. And in some cases, they may be narcissistic. And if you have small children, having to do things that are costly, like locating childcare, re-entering the workforce after a long break, securing housing, getting health care benefits, it is all incredibly overwhelming. And because it is overwhelming and sometimes pretty downright impossible, it can often keep people stuck in these relationships. So please click the link in the top right corner of this video for resources and information about domestic violence and financial abuse, because in some cases you do need that guidance if it's a more severe situation. And as always, I'm Dr. Ramani. Thanks again for tuning in. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did find it helpful. And as always, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thanks again. Bye-bye.